Hello and welcome to my presentation on curriculum development in education. My name is Jennifer Broman. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to discuss is the history of curriculum in American education. So during the 1700s to the 1800s, apprenticeships were the primary focus of education. Those are the people that trained with experts in specific vocations, and that was the main way that people would learn, through an apprenticeship. Then in the 1900s, there was an agricultural focus to the curriculum. There was a lot of farming, and we had a list of subjects made by the Committee of 10 in 1893. Dominated the college prep program of American high schools until about the 1930s. So most of the schooling focus in high school during that time was college prep. There was some critics of the 19th century curriculum. They believed there was an overemphasis on college prep, and there was no addressing of the needs of students that were not going to college, and too much focus on memorization, and there was a shift in emphasis toward the learner and a more broad curriculum. Then in 1917, the Smith-Hughes Act authorized federal funds for high school vocational programs, so this became another option for students. In the 1930s, that's where the Great Depression created a sense of crisis in American education, because you had a lot of high school students that couldn't find work after graduation, and that caused educators to re-examine the curriculum. And in the period between 1931 and 1942, there was extensive curriculum development to get information about interests, abilities, and needs of American youth. High school enrollment doubled during the Depression because students weren't getting work after high school, so they realized that they were seeing people that weren't getting work, and they realized the importance of education. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, there was a focus of education shifting to providing training for war industries. There was a back to basics focus on the curriculum. The industrial demands for a trained workforce also. So there was more of a focus on learning the basics and teaching the basics. In 1957, the National Defense Education Act and National Science Foundation authorized to support activities to strengthen the teaching of science and math. This was after the Soviet Union produced and launched the satellite Sputnik, so there was a focus on increasing our education in science and math curriculum. In the 60s, there was more of a liberation or freedom of curriculum. And then in 1969, they wanted to get into a more personalized way of making curriculum for the students, more personalized and individualized. Then in the late 1970s, there was a decline in students taking science courses. The teachers felt they didn't have the skills for inquiry learning that the science required. In the 1980s, there was a lack of educational rigor, which believed as a cause for a waning economic power during that time. So during the 80s, they believed that we needed to get our education become more rigorous. And then during the 90s to now, there's a lot of focus on using technology in creation of curriculum development and engaging students with technology. There's a focus on student achievement and standardized testing and preparing students for college or a career. Okay, we'll switch focuses now to how do we define the concept of curriculum. So Michael Young's article, in that article he states the purpose of curriculum is not only to transmit past knowledge, so we're teaching students about things from the past and knowledge that people know from the past, or giving them that knowledge that other people have known, to allowing students to build on that knowledge and create new knowledge through investigating and inquiry. And he stated that's how societies progress and how individuals develop. And then in the Ralph Tyler article, it states that school districts and the schools have different responsibilities in the curriculum planning process. So the school district and the state, as well as the local schools, all have a role in the curriculum planning process. So the schools guide learning of students, and the district is responsible for encouraging local schools, obtaining the resources that they need, providing assistance to those local schools. And the state can aid the curriculum development by clarifying what the state and the public expect of schools for major functions and the comprehensive objectives. And the state also can obtain resources for the curriculum development. Curriculum development, it changes as a result of changes in society. So that's according to Richard Plate article. Because the needs of society and individuals has shifted. So based on whatever society needs and individual needs, the curriculum needs to be changed to reflect those needs. What should the purpose of school be? Schools shouldn't focus on data or test scores, I believe. That doesn't, to me, that's not what the focus of school should be. Yes, school test scores are important, but I think that students, personal transformation, their character developing as a citizen, social transformation are more important than any type of score. And we don't want the kids to be burnt out and thinking that, the test score is what's most important, because it's not. As Sir Ken Robinson states, creativity is as important as literacy. So I feel like this push with the test scores is taking away from us allowing students to be creative, and it takes away from time in the classroom for us to give the students opportunity to be creative, and we're not able to give students the impression that creativity is just as important as academics, which I believe it is, because how do you innovate without creativity? You need to have creativity to have innovation, right? So it's not just about math and science and history and writing and reading. You need to have creativity. You need to have imagination as well. You need to have music. You need to have the arts. Okay, those are just as important. And in the TED Talk by Milan Sivak, he talks about engaging students in personal and social transformation. There should be a broader purpose to school than only preparing students for college or work. So I agree with his statements there. Yes, I believe that we do need to prepare students for college or work. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing that. That is very important, but that should not be the main role of education. Education is also about personal transformation and social transformation. So personal transformation, that is lifelong learning, to get the kids to become lifelong learners, help them to develop their virtue and character, the importance of being a good person, being kind and truthful, and it also has to do with social and emotional learning, how you treat other people. Social transformation, that has to do with allowing students to use their curiosity and their interests to make a difference in the world. I believe these are two elements that we really need to make sure that we have in schools, and that really are the most important, even more than academics, because it's about character and citizenship. Make sure students have that curiosity and can develop their creativity so that they can make a difference in the world and make the world a better place. That's what's ultimately important. All right, thank you for watching.